The Sheep Detectives, the latest Hollywood comedy, is almost like a spoofy version of these Knives Out kind of films, where a detective is trying to find a killer from a very confined list of suspects. The major difference is that the detectives here are sheep who can't really communicate. By transporting us smartly into the witty conversations of the sheep and placing certain philosophies without making them sound preachy, the Sheep Detectives consistently gives you an opportunity to laugh out loud, and towards the end, it manages to put a bright smile on your face. In this town named Denbrook, there was a shepherd called George Hardy who raised his sheep in a very healthy manner. He gave all of them separate names, and he used to read out detective novels towards the end of every day. Unfortunately, at one point, George was found dead, and the main sheep Lily suspected foul play in that death, assuming the possibility of it being a murder. How the sheep use their detective instincts to find the criminal is what we see in this movie. The murder mystery in this movie is not really the USP of the film. Since we have seen several versions of these kinds of movies, we are obviously looking at each character with a certain level of suspicion. Because of that, the script here decides to focus on the process, which is the uniqueness of this movie. When the film switches to the conversations of the sheep, it offers the movie a great chance to explore humor. Just like movies like Stewart Little, the fact that we can hear the dialogue of both the humans and the sheep makes it even more hilarious. There is a running commentary from the characters during the investigation that is basically exposing the patterns in the Agatha Christie stories. One of the things that makes the emotional part of the movie relatable is the way it presents the stereotypical sheep behavior of avoiding problems. The movie addresses the problem with people who uses ignorance or purposefully ignore things as a defense mechanism to avoid conflicts in life. And the setups towards all those moments are done very smoothly in the earlier parts of the movie, and the payoffs for almost all those setups are happening in a highly emotional way, and the best was the way it used the myth about the death of a sheep. And if you look at the story, ultimately we can see it showing empathy towards the lone ones in the character pool, and that includes sheep and humans. Kyle Balda, who previously co-directed some of the movies in the Despicable Me universe, managed to crack the humor very convincingly on screen. People might have a perception that this is a kids' film with a message at the end. The message angle is definitely there in totality, but the writing never really tries to kill the humor by making it too loud. And that makes this one a fun film even for the adults. The writing is able to balance the fun and thrill evenly. Towards the end, when the case is about to be solved, there is a bit of slowness. However, the emotional extension the movie gets after that point makes up for it. The visual effects on the sheep were done brilliantly. The only area that felt a bit sloppy in terms of Hollywood standards was the way they rendered the movement of that small winter lamp. The big names in the cast like Hugh Jackman and Emma Thompson are basically enabling the sheep-led movie to reach a wider audience. Jackman has that inherent aura that makes him the perfect choice to play this empathetic shepherd who would fight for the flock. Nicholas Braun as the dim-witted police officer Tim was actually the most memorable performer. The transition of that character from an unlikable one to an earnest human being was performed very neatly by Braun. Nicholas Galitzine and Molly Gordon are also part of the cast in significant roles. The movie's voice cast also has these big names in small yet significant roles. Bryan Cranston and Patrick Stewart have given voices to two such important characters. Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Lily and Chris O'Dowd as Mopel are doing the larger share of the voice acting when it comes to the sheep. From a writing perspective, The Sheep Detectives has an admirable balance that can satisfy almost all categories of viewers. The movie manages to pull the audience into the film almost from the first shot, and it also succeeds in communicating the tone of the fantasy. Since humor, inclusivity, and empathy are the points the story wanted to talk about, the Scooby-Doo-ish genericness in the crime-solving part never really becomes a point of concern. In totality, The Sheep Detectives is a fun film that feels like a warm hug. That was my review of this movie. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give a like, and for more such content, please consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you.